Is it boring to be balanced? That is going to be the topic of this episode of Chi Life. So the inspiration for this vlog came from, it was kind of a dance movement practice sort of session that I attended. It's a few weeks ago now. It's taken me a while to get around to making this vlog. I've been very busy with other things. But just some of the exercises that they did within that session and the way they talked about it made me think of this topic and think it was maybe worthwhile discussing. So one of the things that they did as an exercise was they had people just walking around within the space, and the instructor would tell people to just stop when he said stop, so just at any moment. And then he said, notice how you're not balanced, how you're on the verge of falling, how, because in the way he described it, whenever you're walking, you're constantly about to fall. As you're transitioning your weight, you're already always about to fall. And so notice that anticipation and all of this sort of thing. And then he would say, go again. And you're then encouraged to fall into your next step and explore this moment of uncertainty and basically being unbalanced. And it was quite interesting for myself, because every time he said to stop, it was like, I'm not falling at all. I'm completely balanced. Of course, I'm not saying this out loud, but it's like, I'm so far from unbalanced. And this, of course, is because I've developed habits through my Qigong practice of maintaining balance while I walk, being very conscious and aware of the transition of my weight. And that just leads into habits that you develop. And so every time we stopped, I was solidly planted on the ground. Now, sometimes I may have more weight on one foot or the other, but still balanced. And I thought about this because it meant for me, it was challenging to do this one exercise as part of these movement practices. Now, as we continue to do it, I was like, okay, well, maybe I can make myself unbalanced, so I'm about to fall, and experiment with that. So I tried to give it a go. But it was interesting to me as well, the way he described this, that this was just a default, that everyone, whenever they walked, were constantly falling and in a state of unbalance just to walk. And it's like, that's just really not necessary. It may be true of some people, maybe even a lot of people, but that's not how you have to walk. You can walk in a way that is very balanced. Another part of what I thought was interesting about the way he described this was the way he talked about this like as a good thing, as that this was exciting because you might be falling and there was this unknown, and this was what created excitement. I thought, wow, that's a interesting perspective on things as well. And I can see how uncertainty can create a sort of excitement. Yeah, certainly. But is this necessary? Is this a good thing? Is this something we should seek out? Now, I'm not suggesting there was anything harmful about the exercise he was doing, or even, maybe intentionally finding things where we know there's going to be some uncertainty, so there'll be a surprise. I think you can do that in a healthy way. But is this something that is inherently necessary to have excitement? Basically, as I said in the title for the topic of this vlog, is it boring to be balanced? In which case, is it a good thing to be balanced? And I don't think it's boring to be balanced. Spoiler alert. I think we can have plenty of excitement while being balanced. And a lot of how we approach things in life come out of the way we frame things. And I think maybe, again, the exercise that this teacher was leading people through, I don't think that was harmful in and of itself, but I think maybe some of the presuppositions, some of the assumptions behind that potentially are harmful, assuming that we need to be out of balance to have excitement, because that can cause people to seek to be unbalanced in an unhealthy way if they think it's necessary for excitement. So I'll give a different perspective on that in terms of how balance can actually help you to have greater excitement. And this brings in an additional concept, and that's the concept of skill. Now, if we're unbalanced, and perhaps constantly unbalanced, this limits what we can do skillfully and safely. Because in a state of unbalance, we don't have enough control to do a wide variety of things safely. If we want to do more challenging things, and we could take any number of examples of this. So let's take a simple one, driving a car. If you're driving a car and your wheels aren't balanced, or your steering isn't balanced very well, so maybe your steering's loose, so it goes too much to one side, too much to the other, it's not balanced, you're not going to be able to drive that car very fast safely. You're quickly going to come to your limit where you'll lose control. And so it might be exciting in a way that like, oh, I'm going this way, and then all of a sudden I'm going this way and I'm losing control. Yeah, that's a kind of excitement. Is that a good excitement? At the very least, it's a very limiting excitement. On the other hand, if your wheels are perfectly balanced, if your steering is perfectly balanced, so you have smooth control, now you can go much faster and still be safe. That gives a different level, a different kind of excitement. Of course, you can still take that to the point of it being dangerous, but there's a different process there in terms of what's creating the excitement and the higher level of achievement possible. Another example, just a physical one using our body. So the example used before was that of walking. You say, oh, you're constantly out of balance. Geez, if you're out of balance all the time when you are just walking, that's going to limit how far you can go in doing more challenging physical activities. If you want to do much more physically challenging activities, and it could be as simple as jumping. If you want to be able to jump well, you need balance within your body to be able to generate force in a controlled way to, jump higher, and you could argue that it's more exciting to be able to jump higher with control than to not be able to jump very high without control. Going even further into things like acrobatics. If you don't have the ability to have control and balance in your movement, you're going to be really limited in what you can do. Yeah, it might get scarier faster by not being balanced, but is that a good thing? Or is it more exciting to have control and do something much more challenging, much more, I would say, interesting in many ways? Simple examples there. I think we can take this perspective out more broadly into our lives as well. It's not just these physical things like driving a car or walking or jumping or doing acrobatics, but how we approach everything in life. Do we maintain emotional balance? Or is it more exciting to be on an emotional roller coaster? Yeah, the emotional roller coaster is going to create drama. It's excitement of a sort. It's also going to cause a whole lot of problems. Whereas if we have emotional balance, we can challenge ourselves. We can do more different, exciting, interesting things in a healthy way. And it's a different kind of excitement. It's not a scary excitement, but it's a fulfilling excitement. And I think this is inherent within Qigong practice. Within Qigong practice, we seek balance in a whole variety of ways. And this, including physical, literal physical balance in terms of shifting our weight and so on, balance of our organs, balance of the way our energy flows, balance of our emotions. We seek to balance all of these things. And it's true that that can make us more calm, more stable. I don't think that stops us from having excitement though. I think if anything, it can empower us to have a richer, more meaningful kind of excitement. So, yeah, those are my thoughts today, and it came out of this simple exercise. So in a way, you could say I got something really good out of that exercise. So no shade on that teacher for teaching the exercise, doing it the way that he did. It was an interesting exercise, and it made me think about this concept and the value that actually comes from having balance, and that excitement does not require us to be out of balance. Anyway, maybe you have some different thoughts on the topic, or maybe you agree. If you do, maybe you can put a comment below, and I look forward to seeing you on another vlog soon.